Come Tinks Invest. We're talking about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's items only, the investment we're going to talk today will be Ethereum to ETH. First, I want to say happy Friday, everybody. Hope a great week so far. It's my second posting of today with respect to recording time of 3:59 p.m. on Eastern Time. Ethereum currently trading $4,409, up about 2.85% so far. With respect to overall market, including the equity side, we have an extremely bullish Friday so far. With respect to the overall crypto market, beside Dogecoin, which seems like it's just normalizing from the subsequent surge days we've been experiencing so far, it's currently down about 3.15%. But on all the other coins, respectively, are mainly dragged up at the moment, right? With Bitcoin currently hovering around like the $3 up 3% mark so far, around the $63,000, while Ethereum is kind of leading the effort, right? Testing the all-time high of what we got earlier today at the $4,463. Currently, retesting and sustaining as well at the current all-time high level. With respect to the overall altcoin market, I think predominantly mainly driven by Shiba Inu is still up about 9.42% so far, which we'll dive into the technical fronts in a bit. On the equity side, as I mentioned, a lot of bullish momentum. Seems like there's a lot more sector rotation that's going on, predominantly being driven by the rebound and the reversal for various different high cap, high tech stocks. And also with respect to Tesla, it seems like it's testing all-time high again as of today, ending at the $1,114. So I was up enormously today. My net worth have elevated significantly across the whole market. So it's definitely a happy Friday to me, but also a happy Friday to you guys as well. So with respect to the news front, let's dive into Ethereum real quick. With respect to Bazinga, about 1 hour ago, talk about Dogecoin killer Shiba Inu is now the third largest Ethereum burner. So beside being the highest burner, is also surging in a astronomical pace as well, which we'll dive into the technical fronts in a bit. But with the surge that we're seeing from Shiba Inu, is also driving Ethereum to have the same correlations to go up from there as the supply versus the demand imbalance is further emphasized because of the burn rate. Seems like it's higher than the cultivation rates, right? And the next one's on CNBC, talk about 3 hours ago, talk about Ethereum is up more than 1,000% since 2020. So this is basically a technical analysis with respect to what we've been experiencing so far. I talk about the surge from the bottom, technically, when we hit, from the China crackdown news, when we got to the 2,750, or the previous crash that we got down to the 1,750, which I have bought at the respective crash or correction level, if you may, right? It seems like we've risen up more than 1,000% since 2000. So congratulations to all the ones that have been long-term investors. But can we even say long-term investing? Because it's only 2021. So if we can sustain this level of surge in a logical supply and demand type of dynamics for 1 year, what would happen in the next 5 years, right? God knows. But there's going to be more upward trends that we will foreshadow going forward. So I'm excited for it. The next one is talking about with respect to on CoinDesk. Talk about XRP get wrapped by TokenSoft for Ethereum DeFi debuts. So I'm not really an investor in XRP, but it seems like there's some connective tissues between the Ethereum DeFi debut versus the XRP value proposition. So quite interesting to see. The next one is on CoinDesk about 3 hours ago. Talk about Ether reaches record high with over 4,400 as Shiba Inu becomes the leading Ethereum burner. So this is another regurgitation news that we already saw from Bazinga, the news an hour ago. The next one's on Yahoo Finance. We don't really hear a lot from Yahoo Finance, but it seems like with their analysts from Yahoo, they are. There's an article talking about the future looks bright for Ethereum. So this is talking about the in the article, the verbiage specifically talks about with respect to Altair transition. We also talked about in the article regarding the London fork debut, the transition from 1.0 to 2.0. And despite some of the the hiccups or the headaches that we're experiencing right now with the high gas fee and the transaction costs, we do see as the burn rates further sustain versus the cultivation rates. Logically, in a technical perspective, in the supply and demand imbalance going forward, it should technically translate into a higher level as we go, right? But that's more of a like a long-term foreshadow type of depictions. But we do need to ultimately have some sort of a correction to recirculate the monetary value that we have in front of us right now. Ultimately, the money doesn't just come from nowhere. We need to incentivize the public investors and the institutional investors to sell off some part of the market and then deploy that into Ethereum, in a long-term perspective. But for us to do so, as a prerequisite, right, we need to sell down as we deplete the technicals on the RSI and the MACD front first, and then allow the recirculations to refuel the rally that technically should be occurring in Q1 next year. But ultimately, the whales are in their manipulations, right? That's something we can only gauge based on the risk management level, which we'll dive into a bit. And then the next one on Bazinga, about 4 hours ago, talk about this wallet just transferred $225 million worth of Ether. So another unrelated news, to be honest with you, it's just another wallet transfer. I mean, it's a sizable amount in the monetary perspective, but it's not really like a purchase or it's just an exchange, right? It's like just shifting from one wallet to another wallet. It doesn't really mean much, right? So interesting to know, but it's just a big number that they want to throw out to as more of a clickbait, if you may, right? The next one's on Bazinga again on 5 hours ago. Talk about CryptoPunk NFT sells for $530 million, but that's a catch. So with respect to this, this is probably talking about the recent commercialization of the NFTs. And the catch is what they're reading here is basically a tax write-off, a tax deduction as well. Because ultimately this is kind of characterized as a form of an art, which I think is still kind of a gray area, to be honest with you. Interesting to know, but it seems like there are a lot of rich people that are loading their funds into these type of NFT adoptions. And then the last one is really something we already talked about with respect to the Kung Fu Fairy Directors Ethereum NFT. So this guy, director, David Sandberg, it seems like he's releasing a series of NFT stemmed upon, of the Kung Fury franchise, if you may, right? So that's pretty much it on the news front. So let's just dive right into the technicals. Right now, with Ethereum is currently up about 2.7%. We're still leaping up. There's no curvature down on the MACD front, but we're still overbought at 67 out of 70, right? So you can see that we tested a new all-time high today at 4,463.45. With this mega green candle right here, right, because of the positive news we've been hearing so far, and also the drag effects from Bitcoin as well, right? So risk is really high, but ultimately we are in the business of risk mitigation, right? So we have to wait until the RSI and MACD cool down first, right? On the Bitcoin front, right now, we are forming a curvature upward. It seems like we crossed down, but we're recrossing up now. And this is mainly driven by the positive news that we've heard so far, right? And let's take a look at what happened with the RSI, right? We are still at the 61 of 70. So ideally, retesting all-time high, but we have to know that it's a weekend coming, right? And Halloween is on Sunday as well in the US. Not sure if that means anything, but if there is a lack of activity with respect to an immediate front, technically we could see some more of a normalization, knowing the fact that the level that we are at right now, not until 52,000 would be non-substantive, right? So we have a lot of space for us to leap down to if we break, right? So something to be cautious of. The first one we break will be 60,000, and then go to 58. We'll hover for a little bit, and then we have a long way to go, right? Basically to 52 and then to 47 respectively. So Dogecoin right now we are selling off 3% at the moment with the 62 out of 70. So ideally, wait for this gap to be filled back down to basically the 20 cents to the 20s, like the 19 to 20 cents respectively. Cardano right now we are at the $2.01 mark, up about 1.38%. We are surging upward right now. Right now it's the 41 out of 70, and we are forming some sort of a curvature upward right now. I think we are at the lower echelon of the apex at the moment, and I think the dip was at the 180 to 187. So I'm a little bit off, but off by like a couple cents, so it's not like a huge difference. But I think that was the dip with respect to Cardano, and I think the next leap up would technically go back into the 214, which was the comfort level we tested before. Solana right now we are back above 200, so technically this is a bullish setup, but the next level is basically above air, and we're struggling. You can see we broke 199. So it's either we go up above 218 or go below back to 159 for a little bit. But if we break that, ideally going back to 130 again, right? And then 113, and then 92, and then 66. XRP right now is up about 1.32%. We are still forming some sort of curvature right now, so which is the reason why we kind of reverse up, right? So ideally either go up to 110 and hover from there because of consolidation right here, or go down to, if we break that, go down to the $1 first to test a little bit, and then go to the 93, which is the real level of substantive. $1 is really just a flat number, right? Polkadot up about 4.05% right now. We're curving up, 61 out of 70. So you could say this is a bullish sign, but with respect to what's up there, we are in basically out of space territory. So ideally buying a more logical level at anywhere around like the $30 all the way to 25 would be much more logical, especially with 61 of 70. Algorand's up about 1.8% so far. Right now, we're covering down at the 55 of 70 right now. So ideally buying somewhere around like the 160 to 155 would be much more logical. Shiba Inu up about 10% basically. Still being dragged up, being sustained by public investors specifically. There's no sign of reversing yet. We are still at the 80 out of 70, so ideally buying back at the 2789 would be the first fair level, but the more logical level would be going back down, way back down to the 800s if you may, or the 900s if you may, right? I would say 900s to be more fair specifically. And with respect to risk management level, based on the RSI as we deplete back to below 35 or around 30, and as we form that preliminary golden cross, these are the level I've identified here for you guys, right? Again, this is my personal risk aversion, and you can see that there are still, the risk is all-time high right now, right? And that's the reason why it's all-time high right now, right? Despite the price. But it's just to remember, logically speaking, as the price goes up further, the risk also, simultaneously goes up further as well, right? So something to be thinking about, right? So that's it for Friday. Really appreciate you for dropping by again. Have a good rest of the Friday night. And if it's already Saturday, have a good weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good one. Stay tuned. Take care.